Alright, so this is your last task for the day, and it's to update your vocab notebook. So, some class periods have done adversary. Adversary is on slide 2 of your vocab notebook, which again looks like this. So you should have done these things already. You should have the guess, your little picture, and your definition, and all that's left are the sentences. And I just want to make sure you know how to use the word correctly. So adversary was used by Benvolio in scene 1, saying, here were the servants, he's talking to Romeo's dad, here were the servants of your adversary, right, your enemy, your opponent, the Capulets. So make sure your sentences for adversary are using the word as a noun. It's going to be the adversary, my adversary, your adversary, like the example, etc. Make sure include that in your full sentence. I haven't brought this up with any class yet, so I know all of you need to do it. Vile is on slide 4. Vile was in scene 4 of Romeo and Juliet when Romeo was talking about his dream and said his life is going to expire by some vile forfeit of untimely death. Note vile, V-I-L-E, which is different from V-I-A-L. V-I-L-E is an adjective. It's going to describe something. In this case, vile is describing his forfeit of death. So as an adjective, it's got to describe something. So in your sentence, you might have the vile blank, blah, 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 blah. One of these series Unfortunate Events books is called The Vile Village, right? It is the village that is vile. You could say the blank was vile because, and then explain why that certain thing is vile based on the definition you found. But make sure you, in your sentences, you use it as an adjective. Then the last word to write your 2 sentences for so far is enmity. That was just in yesterday's balcony scene. Where is it? It's on slide 3. Juliet was talking about how her relatives will murder Romeo if they see him in the garden. And Romeo says, alack, there lies more peril, more danger, in thine eye than 20 of their swords. Right? Juliet could wound him more than her family can. Look thou but sweet, and I am proof against their enmity. So he can escape their enmity if she's kind to him, or if she loves him. So no, it's their enmity, like their apple, their house, their cat. So we know enmity has to be a noun. So again, it's a thing. You're going to use it as a noun. The enmity, an enmity will be in your sentence somewhere. Okay. Then our other 2 words. So pause the video if you need to write your 2 sentences for these 3. And then there's just 2 other words that are figurative language terms that you'll need to look at. So there we go. Pause if you need to. Alright, picking back up. The last 2 words, and these are in the section where you'll have to find an example and then do an analysis. Our 2 words are soliloquy and monologue. Both of these are words for speeches, but sometimes a speech will be a soliloquy and sometimes it'll be a monologue. A soliloquy, if you notice, looks like the word solo. If you sing a solo in choir or you play a jazz solo, you're the only person playing, right? You're the only person singing. Soliloquies, as it says, it's a speech where a character is thinking out loud. So it's the inner thoughts of the character. And you can usually tell because the character, and this isn't on your sheet, but I wanted to just clarify, the character thinks they're alone or they are alone on stage. Right? So if Romeo is the only person on stage and he gives a speech, that's a soliloquy. Juliet thinks she's alone in part of the balcony scene, and she's talking about Romeo. Oh, she wish. Oh, cat, stop it. Sorry, my cat's really annoying. Cat, get down. Stop. Stop. So Juliet thinks she's by herself, and she's talking about, oh, I wish Romeo would give up his name, blah, blah, blah. That is, get down. That is a soliloquy, because she's expressing her inner thoughts, her inner emotions, and there's the perception that she's by herself. There's lots and lots of soliloquies you could pick throughout the play for your example, but you just need to identify one, and then analyze, why does it count as a soliloquy, and in the analysis part, why is it a soliloquy, if I can spell things right, and what are that person's inner thoughts at that moment. And then monologue is on slide 29. Monologue is similar, it's a long speech, but it's given to other people, right? You speak a monologue to someone, or to a group of people. So, for example, Mercutio's Queen Mab speech from scene 4. It's a long speech, but he doesn't think he's alone, right? He's talking to Benvolio and Romeo, and the purpose is to express some point to them. It's not to think out loud. It's to talk to specific people. So that's the difference between monologue and a soliloquy. Soliloquy is usually more personal because they believe they're by themselves, right? You write stuff in your journal you wouldn't share with other people. That's kind of the difference. Monologues are public, and soliloquies are private. Or at least they assume they're private, as in Juliet doesn't think anybody's listening to her at that point. So, for your monologue analysis part, I don't need to type it out. Just tell me why it counts as a monologue. You really don't need to analyze it any further than that. So there we are. Those are your words. So by the time you come back, you should have these 5 slides finished. And if you get confused, if you go on the vocab, like the original one, I've turned the ones yellow that we should have done so far. So you should have slide 2, 3, 4 done, totally completed, and then you should have 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 25, 28, and 29. If you get confused, pause, rewind, listen to that again. I've been coloring them yellow. If you want to color the ones that you're done with, all you have to do to turn it a color is if you hit background for the slide and just pick whatever color you want to turn it. You can turn them green, you can turn them, I don't care what color, but that might help you keep track of what you have done also. So, by the time you come back to class tomorrow, you should have that 2 important quotes page completed and checked and corrected, and you should have all of these vocab slides finished if we've just gone over them. Thanks.